Yes.
Exactly.
Cool.
Broadcast it. That's all.
Yeah.
Once you're done, there's no urgent rush.
Excellent.
You happy with me being here?
Yes, absolutely.
So if I'm sat like here, am I in frame?
Yes, of both of them.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
So I could tilt it up a bit. To, what are you? Oh, you're adding more canvas.
Yes, so I can swap between
Oh my god. Oh, are you doing like a small, big, and a big, small? Cool.
So I will see you guys for that.
We'll find out, won't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, once you're both in position, introduce the segment. And
All right.
I'll let you get painting. I said I'll let you get painting like I'm stopping you.
Oh, that'll be fine.
I'll tilt the back camera up a bit so Reylyn's actually in shot. Because currently it's basically everything except your face, which is not great. Oh, Jesus, and then I kick it. Still.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That one, you're changing this one,
I'm changing
which
that.
was absolutely fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so good at cameras.
That one is the hand cam, which can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
I like you. Okay. We good?
At the end of the segment.
Yep.
Alright, go for it.
Okay. Welcome to the mini painting stream. I am your host for the next hour about. I'm Scarlett, she, her. And today I will be painting some of my Blight Lords. Now, obviously, tomorrow we're going to have our Warhammer game, in which I'm going to be playing the Death Guard, and so I'm probably going to be playing some of these. Are they going to be done by then? We'll see. But yeah, this is kind of just like meant to be a chill stream.
Fun chill stream.
Yeah.
Painting stream.
Yeah.
And I am Reylynn, she, her. I'm Scarlett's girlfriend. And I'm here painting the Society's Space Marine Army. For those interested at home, some progress has been done. I have contacted the War Exec about the colour scheme in particular, and they haven't got back to me. And I have pinged them. If you're watching, Liam and Adam, respond to my messages. Regardless, it is a nice scheme, in my opinion.
Yeah. You want me to get it on
yes,
close up?
Get it in close up. It is a very dark purple with accents of silver and yellow. It's a fun, unique scheme, in my opinion, of course.
The colour can be closer to this way, because at the moment it's just creating lots of shadows.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's fine, don't worry about it.
That, and then like that, actually.
All right, cool.
Better for the camera.
Right.
For those unaware, we have actually, the Society does own a few armies. So we own, from doing it, could you turn the light a bit downwards in my eyes?
Oh, yeah.
We as a society own a large, though I believe currently uncalculated and somewhat in disarray, collection of Space Marines. We also own a very much so in disarray army of orcs. But as of recently, thanks to just only the most humble and appreciative and wonderful person ever, who would never brag about doing it, we have access to a Necron army within the society, donated by me, painted in the colours of the Cleotarch dynasty. In addition to that, we have the society's new Tyranid Tyranid army. Apologies. The latter two being specifically made for combat patrol. Honey, if you'd like to give an intro what combat patrol is.
Yeah, essentially a combat patrol is just like a small army for like it's 500 points, which is it's essentially the smallest like competitive size of army in 40k.
For those unaware, the standard is 2,000 points. 500, quite the decrease.
Yeah. It's very much designed for new players with a reduced, like not only is the number of models you need reduced, but also the number of command points that you get is reduced, which makes it a lot easier to figure out what stratagems you're using.
Lower the desk a bit more, please. You have to lower the desk a bit more, please.
Nice bit.
Like, no, it's like if you can put down the feet right. Oh,
Not to my knowledge.
that'll be fine.
Yeah.
Sorry, I meant to try not interrupt.
Hey, no, it's okay. But yeah, and also for those wondering what I'm doing, I'm just putting some green on this model because the idea for this model is going to be base green with some grey trim, and then the details will colour as we go.
I think it's this one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If I hold up the dreadnought to camera.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah,
You want- yeah, cool.
So, for currently painted for this, I think we have a Terminator squad as well as this dreadnought, equipped with a multi-melter. I today will be painting a Space Marine captain, as well as 5, didn't bring 6 at all, tactical Space Marines, which will produce a 500-point army. Specifically for the society. Unfortunately, this little lad who we have here has no helmet on. And I'm not a big fan of Space Marines not wearing their helmets, though we do not have any tweezers or clippers to hand. So for now, to my disappointment, he will be painted without a helmet on. For those wondering, for whatever reason, Space Marines seem to not wear helmets very, but they choose to not wear their helmet often. The standard Space Marine has no force field or such to protect their head. They're just stupid.
Yeah, no, it's like you've got to wear your helmet so that the person on the other side of the map can like see you snarling at them. Like that's why you have like all the angry unhelmeted sergeants.
Yeah, you know, it's as a fun fact for those at home, in the lore, I play the chapter of the Marines Malevolent, not these Space Marines here. The Marines Malevolent are very evil. They're not nice in the slightest. Indeed, they could be described as malevolent. There is a moment in the lore where they are attacking another chapter and specifically aim for the unhelmeted Marines, as those are the most likely to be elements of command. That is part of why I chose to collect Marines Malevolent, for that, I guess, spiteful glee in that part of the Space Marine culture, I suppose, being called out.
Yeah.
How do you feel about unhelmeted Marines?
Like, I like my unhelmeted sergeants. Like, I'm not gonna lie. To be fair, like, I just like angry, like, Marines. Like there's this head on, like, Abaddon the Despoiler, which is unhelmeted and, like, shouting at people. And, like, it's that kind of, like, snarl that I really enjoy, like, seeing.
And, you know, and an important thing to note at home, folks, is people are allowed sometimes to be wrong.
Look, this is a stream for painting happy little Space Marines. We paint them how we want.
We do. We do.
And we use tooth and coats sometimes when we feel like it.
We use tooth and coats when it makes sense to do so, and not when it doesn't. In front of me, I have a bunch of 32mm bases. If you don't wear 32mm across, which is the standard size for Space Marines nowadays. However, in the past, they were on paltry 25s. Very, very small, currently used for basic humans in the setting. And as such, they are being replaced to facilitate a nicer look for the army as well as a more legal build.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could say those Space Marines are very based,
Well, they're not at the moment, they're actually misbased.
or they're unbased.
I'm interested, who do we have in chat?
Quite a few people in the list, not very many people saying anything.
Yeah, fair enough. Laying down some of that nice. Right, this is Tamio Kahaki. It's a Kaki, sorry. I sometimes mispronounce words because I am not very good at pronouncing things.
And what would be the word to talk about that, sweetie?
Pronunciation.
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 I love my girlfriend very much.
Sure you do.
Oi. One of us has super glue. The other has nice hair.
Now that's true.
Now that's true.
It's almost like it's true no matter what side of the table the super glue is on.
You can't unspite me.
I can spite and unspite you however much I want. Yeah. Yeah, being a bit scattered with green. Like this layer doesn't need to be like particularly neat because this is just like the base coat, and then things will go on top of that, and then we can neaten up later. And yeah, this is probably like the thing that takes the most time, mainly because like, well, I mean, I guess like some of the detail work can be like time consuming, but also like this is just like covering the model basically in green. And it doesn't help that I am quite low on the green that I'm using for these Terminators.
And for those wondering at home, I'm focusing on gluing at the moment. Reason being, whichever mega big brain genius who, to be fair, I won't slander this part, very generously, without a need to, as to my understanding, donated these Marines to the Society. However, they were built with blue tack, which is not a good option for building anything Warhammer related.
Yeah.
As such, I am having to do some work getting these bits, such as arms, other arms, and arm bits, attached to these bodies.
Yeah.
So I was rebasing them.
Well, yeah. Yeah, because normally the thing that's used for model for like these kind of models is plastic glue.
Yes.
But we don't currently have any plastic glue.
Yes. You will typically you'll either be using.
Oh wait, we do have plastic glue.
Oh, nice, but super glue.
Fair enough.
You'll either be using plastic glue or super glue. Super glue is good because it's a very quick setting and very easy to work with, and you don't really have to think much about it. Any material realistically works with it. However, it's not the most strong thing in the world. As opposed to plastic glue, which does set very slowly, and indeed only works on particular kinds of plastic. However, it does not glue things together per se. Instead, it melts that plastic chemically, which then recombines with what it's next to, forming an extremely strong bond.
Yeah.
To a point where large applications with a lot of surface area of plastic glue can, in essence, make two pieces inseparable, as much as plastic can be anyway.
Yeah. Like, so plastic glue tends to be really good for like gluing plastic to plastic. But obviously, like sometimes that's not always an option. And like if you're not 100% careful with plastic glue, you can also like ruin some of the detail on your model. But you can also do that with super glue. So like.
Indeed, also.
Definitely not speaking from experience.
Too much application of plastic glue can leave it unable to stick, whereas though you shouldn't, you can have several layers of super glue on top of each other should it break off once.
Let me just check if that's like all the green I need to do. Actually, yeah, there's still some black bits. Like, yeah. Obviously, like, this isn't like... like, trying to show the mini to the camera makes it, like, a little bit, like, harder, but, like, we're still doing alright. Just have to lean forward a little bit. But yeah, and like I said, like, it's not the biggest deal if I miss something on this first pass. It is just that, a first pass. I'll paint the rest of it in a bit, and then we will see if there's any black remaining on the model. I primed these in black, something that I didn't mention. That's mainly just because that's what I tend to do with my Death Guard. For other chapters, like I've done like a Zenithal highlight in the past, which essentially you prime in black like this, and then you prime in white over the top of that, and then like that. Well, no, you prime in white, but only from like one direction, so that it essentially creates like this effect of like having a highlight coming from like where the light is. Also, I haven't done that this time because these definitely weren't primed like right before the stream when I decided to paint them. But like, yeah, that's something that I would typically do. Just like it tends to bring out the detail in the model and makes it a little bit easier to highlight because the paint is ever so slightly transparent.
Yes, and I will continue to give ever so slightly more Coke on my shirt. Pepsi, whatever.
Yeah.
I like this shirt, and it's now ruined until I go home.
It's fine. It happens.
It happens, but it is annoying.
Yeah. In fact, at least it didn't. At least you didn't spill paint on it. It's not like anyone would ever spill paint on anything. I do feel like I've generally done, like I was looking in my paint box for a specific box of paint, and I just found that I got it out earlier. Yeah, this is the grade that I'm using, Dawnstone. Like, Citadel paints are okay. I mainly use them out of habit. Like the main like downside of Citadel paints is like these lids sometimes have trouble shutting.
Yeah, so you can either hear, I suppose, the official story or the real story on the matter. The Citadel paints are widely available, and certain ones of the paints are incredible. Contrast paint is just magnifique. However, in particular for the less watery paints, there is an issue because the pots of Citadel paints do not close, not completely, allowing, I guess, room for them to dry out. And speaking as someone with a lot of experience and a lot of skepticism for Games Workshop, and based on what I've seen and heard from other people, it's hard to call that a coincidence when it would make them more money to not. Oh, sorry, make them more money to make people buy new paint every now and then. That said, they are at least nice paints, and the best paints they sell don't dry very easily.
Yeah.
But know before you buy, I suppose.
Yeah. Like, I think like an alternative that's generally discussed is Vallejo.
Yes, Vallejo.
Which is like I've got like some Vallejo paints here. As you can see, like they've got this screw top bottle, which tends to come off slightly less easy, of course. Like I tend to not be a fan of dropper bottles, mainly because I'm used to like just scooping the paint out of the pot. Although I do have my trusty wet palette here to keep my paints wet. Believe it or not, that's what a wet palette is for. And like, I mean, I say wet palette. It's literally just some like kitchen roll with baking paper on top and soaked in water.
Well, like a base king paper.
Base king paper, nice. Like, yeah, like really, that's like all you need in terms of a palette. Yes.
Do we have any kitchen roll?
I'm not sure. Like, there might be some in.
If that would be okay. I realised I needed to paint.
How much do you need?
Like,
Right.
say,
An
if
A4
it,
sheet?
sorry,
An A4 sheet? Or
probably 2.
okay.
Thank
I'll have
you.
a go. It might be
Yeah.
toilet paper, but
That's fine, that's all
as
good.
well. Cool.
Thank you
Yeah.
for our lovely assistant.
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of like the brushes that I'm using, I've got lots of brushes, as you can see from the state that my box is in. None of them are good, but like generally, what I like, a lot of people will say like use a tiny brush, because then if you make tiny brush, it'll make tiny marks.
It'll make tiny mistakes.
Yeah, like, but the thing with small brushes is that they don't hold nearly as much paint as big brushes, so you have to be like constantly going. You have to constantly be going back and forth from your paint pot, and like it will dry off your brush like really quickly. Because that's the thing. It's like that's the reason why I've got this palette is that acrylic paints dry super quick. Like you'd be really surprised at how fast acrylic paints dry, especially when you're trying to do like blending or something like that. And so like really easy to like, yeah. So it's really good to like use a big brush. Like obviously like the exact, and also like thinning your paints is like somewhat a yeah. What? I mean, like if you thin your paints just right, it can make it a lot easier to do like detail work in freehand. But it's also very hard to pin your paints right.
Yeah, I find in my experience a lot of people turned off from painting, or at least painting the way that is effective, by advice given in good faith and not explained very well. I think would be the nicest way to put it.
Yeah.
Because, and I might get like hate for this, but most of the time, paint is okay out of the bottle if you if you lick your brushes.
Yeah, but that would require licking of brushes somehow.
But then if you don't know, you can paint all you want and your brush gets frayed. You can swirl it in water, you can do all sorts of things. And the way to make it, just put it back to being right. So say like I've been going blip, blap, bloop, blap, bloop, blap, like that all day, it's all frayed. Just back to paint. And you should do it if you paint models. I don't know about painting like paintings, I suppose.
Yeah, just neither of us know anything about actual. Well, I mean, I say this is art, but like classical oil paint on canvas. Like,
I mean, I've painted some very nice models.
Art. I mean, yeah. Like, I'm not like discouraging that as art, but like, neither of us are, I guess, traditional media.
That would be a good way to put it.
Yeah, like whatever traditional means. Like, because then you have to like consider the canvas like soaking the paints. Like here, like plastic doesn't soak stuff, which is why you need to prime your models.
Yes, priming is a very good idea. Do we have any questions in chat out of interest?
No, the only comment we've had is solvents woo.
Yes.
So enjoying your glue discussion.
There's also you can also use epoxy putty, or alternatively known, this is not quite the same thing for chemistry people or people who know about it, but similar is green stuff,
Yeah.
which is very good at doing certain things, but they would not use it as, I guess, a stand-in for glue.
Yeah. Well, technically it will stick things together. Like, generally, it's more useful for, like, filling gaps and, like, it can be used for modeling itself. In fact, like, I've got, like, this model. I'm not saying this is a good conversion, but it's a conversion of, like, essentially the kit that I'm using only comes with 3 axes, and I wanted all of my guys, well, I wanted 4 of my guys to have axes. The other guy has a flail. But, like, you can see, like, that one is essentially half a sword, green stuff to a scythe blade to make a sort of axe. So, it's very good for, like, doing fun stuff like that and, like, just getting creative with it.
What's the most crazy thing you've done with green stuff?
I mean, to be fair, that's probably it.
Really?
I don't do a lot of conversions. Like, oh yeah, I've also like jammed some plasmas to some combi bolters on my regular Chaos Terminators because I also play Black Legion.
Yes, which are now illegal. Because the new book is wonderful.
Yeah, I know. Like I spent so time on like converting my Chaos Terminators and like actually to be fair, like I don't think I've got 2 squads. I think I converted like 3 of them. So like, or maybe it might have been 4. Like, yeah. I mean to be fair, like I just like the combi plasmas. Combi plasmas look cool.
They do.
And like, you know, talk a lot of game about like the game and stuff, and a lot of people do, but also like painting is just such a wonderful part of this hobby.
And it's worth saying to anyone who doesn't. You okay?
Yeah, I dropped the model.
Did it survive?
Yeah, it's fine.
Good.
Yeah,
It's
and
worth,
like more importantly, there are no paint marks on the floor.
it's worth saying to anyone who's not aware, or even has been told a mistruth about this. But regardless of what any like dick, I guess, says, you can enjoy the hobby in any way you want to. It doesn't matter if you don't play the game. It doesn't matter if you don't paint your models. If you are enjoying yourself, then that's all that matters, and that's all that should ever matter. Say, I enjoy the lore, the painting, the models, the playing, and everything, but that doesn't mean everyone has to.
Yeah.
As long as you put helmets onto your Space Marines.
Yeah. Helmet your Space Marines, kids, or don't, because I don't.
I mean, if you're a Space Wolf, there's an excuse.
Well, do like Space Wolves have a specific thing?
Yeah, they're stupid.
Oh right.
I'm allowed to say that I'm a Dark Angels player. It's fluffy.
Like.
Like, there's a reason Gilliman's model even comes with a helmet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What is it?
So I was kind of surprised to see it, but yeah, it does come with the option for it.
Yeah, like I think Abaddon's one does as well.
Well, it comes as like a rebreather. It doesn't come with a full helmet, no?
I think it does. I might be mistaken though.
I've never had the kit, but
Yeah, Abaddon is a real cool kit.
he's got a good unit as well. He's now
Yeah,
very
like-
powerful.
Yeah, like seeing some of like the new Chaos stuff, like the like new Abaddon looks insane. I mean, it's like 300 points up from
300
like where he
300
was
points
at.
dot, yeah. He's finally a supreme commander.
Yes, he is. But unfortunately, I don't think Black Legion has a Council of Traitors anymore. So it's like the
No.
one reason I wanted him to.
No, it doesn't. But it does. There is now just a generic stratagem for Chaos Marines to gain an extra roll trip and up to 2,
Oh right, yeah,
which is nice.
yeah. But it's like it was like the fact that you couldn't have Abaddon like a Abaddon Council of Traitors and a Demon Prince because there was too many HQ slots for a battalion. that was a bunch of jargon that means something if you play the game. But now he has a supreme. But now he has Supreme Commander, but you also don't get Council of Traitors, which gives you extra warlord traits.
And indeed, at the Society, with the 500-point games that have been rising up, much like me, prevail. It's too many points anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Like, yeah, we tend to play it like you, yeah. You can't have any models that are over like 250.
That was for the tournament.
Yeah, that was for the tournament.
By
right.
no means that enforced it, our games at all, because
Yeah.
for a tournament it was okay. However, it's not a rule which holds up to scrutiny. As often two units that are both 245 points each can very easily outperform a 500 point unit. However, for a tournament which is a friendly and was a lot of fun, it makes some degree of sense.
Yeah. Like very much aimed at new players. Like, what do I do against the great ugly one?
Shoot them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're not very tough.
Yeah. Like the I can't wait until like the Chaos Demons Codex comes out.
Yeah, they need it.
Yeah. It was like, yeah, I've also got like a small force of like Nurgle demons. I've tried playing some of them. It's just like they don't really have anything. But that'll change soon. Yeah. Oh, why does that guy have a Nurgling on his sword?
I think it's a plague bearer head. I'm not certain. I think it's from.
Oh right.
I would guess it's from the Grey Knight spots.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
So I'm pretty sure they have something like that.
Yeah, no, like in terms of like stuff, I like Nurgle. I like Black Legion because their armor is black and that looks cool. I also play Imperial Fists because I had some Primaris Space Marines and was like, what chapter do I want to play them as? Well, I don't want to play them as Ultramarines because Ultramarines are boring.
Ultramarines are gay.
Yeah, who could be gay?
Not me. I could never be gay. My girlfriend would never be gay. Wait, I'm gay? What is my girlfriend?
But yeah, I didn't want to play Ultramarines because Ultramarines are boring. But I kind of like, I don't know, just like looking at the chapters, it's like, hey, yellow could be fun to paint. Spoiler alert, yellow is not fun to paint.
Yes, yellow is a temperamental paint, I suppose.
Yeah, essentially like a lot of paints tend to have, a lot of yellow paints tend to have weaker pigment in them. Or like, yeah, so it like you tend to need to like layer it up a lot more than like this green or this grey. So like that's why a lot of people say that painting yellow is hard. But like also like Games Workshop do like an Avalanche Sunset Spray. It's a little inconsistent, but it does make your life as an Imperial Fist player a little bit easier. Well, and I'd say that's the royal yours. I mean mine.
What about the bourgeois yours?
The bourgeois yours. No comrade. Ours. Wake. Right. Yeah.
Despite it originating from a similar position, my chapter are also yellow, but as mentioned, they're not Imperial Fists, not in the slightest. I play the Marines Malevolent, who are very evil.
Yeah.
The Imperial Fists like rocks.
They do have the geokinesis discipline, which I didn't know before I like started playing them, but it's excellent.
Yes, the Imperial Fists are more cool than the Ultramarines. That can be said.
I mean, yeah, they're essentially like the other Super Codex compliant chapter, like aside from the Ultramarines.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I guess like White Scars and Iron Hands are.
Well, I would say that those two both deviate more than Imperial Fest. So
Yeah.
so would Raven Guard and Salamanders.
Yeah.
The thing with Imperial Fest is I think I'd argue they're closer to a real military
Yeah.
than Ultramarines are, who are a bit more like knight.
Yeah, yeah, Imperial Fists tend to really like their big guns. Right?
An interesting faction are the Raptors, I believe they're called, which are a Space Marine chapter which functions completely like a modern military. It's very interesting. Their color scheme is khaki.
Oh, that's cool.
A khaki of Kama. Someone I know that plays them. They have a beautiful color scheme for them.
But yeah, I mean, painting your models green can be me. It felt like it was like when I was like painting Grambletown, and then like I set up. Well, I literally just like went to prime my Black Lord Terminators. Like I realized like I literally used the same green to like base coat my my Chaos Demons and my Death Guard.
Base.
Yeah, like. My Chaos Demons, I then do a like light shade of green. I think, well, it's like, I know it's Nurgling green from Games Workshop, and then like these ones, like I tend to layer on them with like it's like Desert Yellow from Tamiya. I think it's the same as Xandri Dust.
I am unsure.
Yeah. But yeah. They are good. Yeah. It's kind of funny how like it's like both my Nurgle color schemes start off with the same step, but then deviate from that. I do feel like the third step is like drown them in Athonian camo shade, which is like literally like this green shade. Essentially, like you tend to like actually like trying to shade is hard. So like especially like there are a bunch of companies that do like paints for shading, which are just like transparent, so you can like chuck them on, and they'll settle in the recesses and like darken those areas, which is very useful and probably like the best thing you can do from like taking your painting from like a primary school student did this to like, oh, this is actually pretty good.
From unbased to hyper-based.
Yeah. Super based.
Mega-based. Mega-boozy.
Yeah. Need to get myself some shiny metallic paints. Some people will say to not use a wet palette for metallic paints because theoretically the like metal particles could like seep into the like under thing and like contaminate your other paints. But that just doesn't happen because the metal particles in the paints are like so much bigger than the pigments. Like if the pigments seep through, then the metal if the metal particles seep through, then the pigments would too, which of course would be counterproductive, yes. Like it would like give some undesirable results either way. So like I just tend to not really bother with that. Just yeah. Just tend to just put my like shiny metals on. And like yeah, you can also do this technique called non-metallic metals, which is probably like one of the more advanced techniques in painting, where instead of using the shiny paint, which has like literal flecks of metal in it, you essentially like just use flat paints to do this, and try to like essentially in a similar way to like traditional art, like get it to look that way. I can't do that because that's hard for me. I am a intermediate level painter, so don't expect like golden demons or anything like that. But like, you know, we have some fun with it. It's not about being good; it's about having fun and doing what you enjoy.
So I personally, whilst I'm by no means a golden demon painter, I would consider myself very good at painting. I'm also apparently good at forgetting models. And to put it very simply, personally, I just don't enjoy non-metallic metals. I don't think they look great.
Yeah, like obviously, like it's a personal thing, and it depends on like how well it's done as well. But like, yeah, it's that and like object source lighting as well, which like insane painters can do, where essentially like, rather than like just highlighting from the top down and where the lights are, you just like essentially you have an object that's glowing and the glow comes from that object. Like it's actually like quite fun to like try that on a small scale and like see what you're doing. That is obviously like very hard to do like on a large scale. Like if you've got like an entire like side of the mini like illuminated.
It is by some margin much easier with an airbrush.
Yeah, that's true. Like I'm trying to find my brown paint. Man. But yeah, obviously like airbrushes like tend to like make the process quicker. Like I've never used one, mainly because they are also expensive. But like, yeah, I tend to like just more like hand paint. Where is my brown?
I tend to like Morbius.
True. It's hyper unbased. Okay.
You're saying Morbius is unbased?
Yes.
Well, sweetie, I think you might be mistaken.
Oh yeah. How is Morbius based?
He literally morbs people. He says it's morbing time and totally morb all over them.
And this is the commentary that the stream has gone to, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, heck.
What have you done?
I got paint on the table. Ah. Heck. That'll be fine.
Do we have to specifically not get paint on the table?
Yes.
Yeah, aesthetics will not be impressed with you.
Yeah. Cool. I will deal with that in a bit.
Well, that's why I'm happy I didn't go to this university.
Like, yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'm just like putting some brown on this handle. Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, I put some like brown on this barrel to make a like wooden barrel like type effect.
Like, fuck's sake. This is so annoying. One of the biggest issues of working with super glue is that unlike plastic glue, which as mentioned before, only works with plastic, super glue works with everything, which is a big con. However, if you're unaware, super glue is moisture activated. And one thing which has a lot of moisture are your fingers.
Yeah.
Meaning that it's very easy to stick stuff to yourself, and why it can often feel like pieces are sticking better to you than the model.
I mean, it was originally researched identify the military as an emergency adhesive for skin, so that's not hugely surprising.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Though obviously in civilian use it is a different formulation, but it's still irritating to work with nonetheless. I mean, I might have finally got the fucking bit on.
Hey, congrats.
Stopped using it because it could cause burns.
Yes.
Yeah. Alright. Yeah, probably like looks like we won't have like time to like finish 100% this model, and in fact like we've like barely like done much, but like hopefully like you can see that we've at least like put like quite a bit on paint. It's at least like recognizably like painted. Like we've got some black bits on there, but those won't be too long to cover up. I tend to like doing these cloths in grey as well, just because like fits the million more. Obviously, like if I had the time, I'd probably like layer some more highlights on these cloths to like make it like more cloth-like. Like I'd probably like do it in a red or something if I wanted this mini to stand out. Obviously, this is a Blight Lord Terminator, so one of the higher ranking members of the Death Guard, but not like one of the most high rankings, not a unique character or some kind of model like that.
Why don't you tell us a little story about Typhus?
A little story about Typhus.
Yes.
What do you want to hear?
Well, how did he get that name?
Well, like the thing is, like, I don't exactly like know a lot of the lore.
Apologies.
I know that he was like originally called like Typhon,
Correct.
and like he essentially like led. It was like because Mortarion like was against Nurgle because he doesn't like ciphers because he's Mortarion, and then Typhus essentially took his ship, the Terminus S, like into the warp, and like lowered the thing that protects you from warp travel to be like.
Can I have that belt?
Yeah, sure. And to be like, hey, come on in, and then and then Nurgle did come in, and then the Death Guard happened.
Most of the Death Guard were corrupted by Nurgle's influence.
Yeah.
Forced to yield before the might of the Destroyer Plague.
Yeah. And that is the Destroyer Plague that Typhus has.
Yes, Typhus was formed into being the grandest herald of Nurgle, host of the Destroyer Hive.
Yeah.
Whereas Nurgle corrupted Mortarion, one of the Emperor's own sons, to become a demon prince.
Yeah.
And along with his Primarch blood became the demon prince of Nurgle.
Yeah.
The demon Primarch of Nurgle.
Yeah.
Unique in such a sense, and one of the greatest threats to the Imperium. Yeah, like that's cool. And like obviously like Mortarion like being the Primarch of the Death Guard, like a lot of his like story like before the Horus Heresy happened, which is essentially like the big thing where bad guys went bad in like Warhammer 40k, is like essentially like magic users in 40k are called psychers. They take energies from the warp and use them, and essentially like the Imperium, who are the protagonists in 40k, and they're by no means the good guys, but they are the protagonists. Like essentially like they're kind of up and down on psychers.
and Mortarion like didn't like Psychers at all.
Which was an issue for Typhus, as Typhus was the chief librarian.
Yeah.
Title given to a Space Marine Psyker.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, like being part of the Death Guard, like gave essentially like the fact that Mortarion was his Primarch was not very good for Typhus.
For those who aren't aware, Primarch,
Yeah.
Dad.
Yeah.
One of the sons of the God Emperor of Mankind, as well as an incredibly strong and powerful warrior, genetically and spiritually engineered to be some of the best of their kind. There were 22 of them we didn't talk about. 9 of them turned traitor following the Primarch Horus, and the rest stayed loyal to the Imperium. My personal favourite being Angron, the Red Angel, son of Nuceria, betrayer, and demon Primarch of the Blood God Corn. And I think Scarlett's favourite would be Mortarion, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably Mortarion.
After
Like,
TTS, if that changed.
I like Rogel Dawn like in TTS. It's there's this web series called The Emperor's Text-to-Speech, which is like
If the Emperor had a
if the Emperor has the text-to-speech device, which is really funny and I would really recommend. And like Dawn is in that, and he's autistic, basically, and it's great.
And for those in chat who are more RPG focused, because of Games Workshop being bad, they have moved on to greener pastures, involving a series called Hunter the Parenting, based in the setting of World of Darkness, where you'd find things such as Werewolf the Apocalypse, Vampire the Masquerade, and indeed Hunter the
Parenting.
No, it's called, there's Hunter the Reckoning, I think is the original one. I might be mistaken. But the X thing, apart from Magic the Gathering is not
And there was also like Vampire the Eternal Struggle, which was made by like the person who made Magic the Gathering that isn't like the same thing as Vampire the Masquerade, I don't think.
I don't believe so, no.
Yeah.
Yes, involving characters definitely not based on their 40k TTS equivalents, such as, of course, in the main cast of If the Emperor Detects Speech device being the Emperor, or Big E, Magnus the Red. Yeah, Big E.
Yeah,
Big
Big
E.
E.
The Emperor of Mankind. Big
No
E.
further questions, Your Honour.
Magnus the Red, Demon Primarch of Veach. Little Kitten, the Captain General.
The Captain General of the Adeptus Custodes, Kitten.
Yep, and of Rogel Dawn, and of course Boy. 4 minutes left. In Hunter the Parenting, we have Big D, Marcus, Door, Kitten, and Boy. But of course, completely different people.
Yeah, it just happened to be voiced by the same actors.
And look the same.
Yeah. Like, yeah. But yeah, they're just like so good at writing, it's ridiculous. Like, and like, yeah. So like, I think like in like canon like 40k, like I think like Mortarion's probably my favorite, like because of his like struggles with being a psyker, like because like obviously like Mortarion hating psychers becomes a psyker when he becomes the demon primarch of Nigel.
The Lead Butcher again.
Sure. And then yeah. But like in TTS, it's 100% Dawn because Dawn is great.
Yeah, between the Loyalist and the Traitors, my favourite traitor is of course Angron the Red. Sorry, Angron the Red Angel. Completely different from Magnus the Red, of course. However, my favourite Loyalist Primarch is Lion L. Johnson. Why his name includes the word Johnson, I do not know, but he is based.
Yeah. Lion is the most based Primarch. Because he's the only one who essentially told the Emperor to go away. Huh?
Well, the Horus also did.
I mean, the only like loyalist who told the Emperor to go away. Like yeah. Yeah, how are you like doing over there? Like,
I've gotten the silver coat down,
yeah.
and these lads, but haven't gotten around to the contrast bit yet.
Okay. Yeah. I think like we're probably like coming to the end of the stream now.
Yeah, it feels like it went very,
So
very
like
quickly.
yeah, like as you can see, like this is what he's looking like so far. Far from finished. But I think that probably like gives you like a solid idea of like how mini painting is. Like we've got like some of the good base colors down. Like from here, like it'd just be a case of like finishing off the base colors, doing some shading, maybe some highlighting. But these are probably more battle-ready standard models than like necessarily what I would like do more of like essentially like rather than like super like well-painted models. Yeah. I think like that's like, are we set up and
Direct on time.
yeah, are we set up and ready for the next
I mean, we
interview?
have to move some chairs.
Okay,
some
cool.
Tables, so we'll probably have to move
So
them
like
tonight.
I think that's it for this stream. And so if we like move some chairs and tables so that we can be set up for the next stream.
Yep.
And I can clean this table
Yeah, you
because
don't.
I messed it up. Sorry.
It's alright, so what I recommend is this can move at your own speed effectively.